Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm joined by our expert guest, Susan. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today. Now, let's talk about a very specific, very modern type of exhaustion today.
Oh, I think I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, I know you, the listener, have definitely experienced this. It's that that totally familiar, kind of paralyzing feeling of just standing in the middle of a grocery store aisle.
Just staring blankly at the shelves.
Exactly. You're holding two different items, and you have absolutely no idea which one is actually going to keep you alive longer.
Right, because the rules just keep changing.
Exactly. Like one decade, the headlines are screaming that dietary fat is the ultimate enemy, right? And we all start eating like dry toast and weird fat-free yogurt.
Oh gosh, the fat-free craze of the 90s, it was everywhere.
It was. But then, the next decade, the pendulum swings entirely the other way. Suddenly, carbs are toxic, and people are out here putting literal sticks of butter into their morning coffee.
Which is just wild when you think about it.
It is. We've just been dragged through these endless, exhausting diet wars for years now, just constantly swinging back and forth between cutting carbs and cutting fat, basically just to try and protect our hearts.
Yeah, and it really is a profound cultural fatigue at this point. I mean, you want to do the right thing for your body, obviously, but the rules don't just shift. They violently contradict themselves depending on, what year it is.
Totally. It's maddening.
It creates this underlying anxiety around just the simple daily act of eating lunch. You end up looking at a sandwich not as food, but as this complex math problem that you're probably failing.
That's exactly what it feels like, a math problem.
Yeah.
But we are unpacking a massive new piece of research today.
Yes, finally some clarity.
Right. It was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, and it actually attempts to settle this once and for all. And I think we need to start with the sheer mountainous scale of the data here.
Because it is truly staggering.
It really is. Frankly, it makes most other nutrition studies look like, high school science fairs.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
I mean, we are talking about tracking participants across 3 separate long-term studies. And when I say long-term, they started gathering this data in 1986.
1986. Just think about that.
And they didn't stop until 2019.
Yeah, the timeline is just unbelievable. 33 years of meticulous, unbroken observation.
Yeah, and to put the exact numbers on it, because I think you really need to hear this to understand the gravity of what we're looking at, they tracked over 42,720 men.
Wow.
And more than 155,000 women.
That is huge.
Right. That's almost 200,000 people. I mean, I can barely track what I had for breakfast 3 days ago, let alone monitor the health and eating habits of like a small city's worth of people for 3 decades.
It's an astronomical undertaking.
So why go to all that trouble? What was so incredibly important that researchers dedicated their entire careers to this one specific cohort?
Well, the short answer is the enemy they were tracking.
Okay.
They were specifically looking at coronary heart disease, or CHD.
Right, CHD.
And, it requires this level of just unprecedented funding and logistical coordination and sheer dedication because CHD remains the leading cause of death in the United States.
It's still the leading cause?
Exactly. It's not a fringe issue at all. It is arguably the central health crisis of our time.
Okay, so if we are going to understand how to eat to actually prevent this, I feel like we probably need a quick refresher on what CHD actually does to the body.
That's a great idea.
Because we hear heart disease thrown around a lot, on the news and stuff.
Yeah.
But what is mechanically happening inside the chest?
So it really comes down to the narrowing of your arteries.
Yeah.
If you imagine the arteries as this crucial plumbing system.
Like pipes.
Exactly. Pipes delivering oxygen-rich blood directly to your heart muscle. Over time, due to various factors that we'll definitely get into, a sticky substance called plaque starts to build up on the inner walls of these pipes.
Okay, let me stop you right there because I've always pictured this like pouring hot bacon grease down a kitchen sink.
Oh, yeah, that's a super common visual.
Right, like is it literally just fat solidifying in the blood and clogging up the tube?
It's a great analogy, but it's actually a very common misconception. It's not quite that simple.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's not just loose grease floating in a pipe. So the inner lining of your arteries is called the endothelium.
Endothelium. Okay.
Think of it like a smooth, protective Teflon coating on a frying pan.
Okay, I can picture that. Nice and slick.
Exactly. But when that Teflon gets irritated or damaged, which, can happen from high blood pressure or smoking or certain dietary factors, it creates a rough patch.
Like a scratch on the pan.
Yes. And your body tries to heal that rough patch. But in the process of healing it, LDL cholesterol that's just circulating in your blood gets caught in the scratch.
Oh, wow. So it's getting snagged.
Right. And then over years, calcium and inflammatory cells kind of join the party, and it creates this hardened, thickened plaque.
Ah, okay. So it's actually much more like a scab that gets totally out of control inside the pipe, rather than just like loose sludge backing up.
Precisely. That's a perfect way to look at it. And as that plaque accumulates, it hardens and effectively restricts the blood flow.
Because the pipe is getting narrower.
Exactly. And when that restriction becomes severe enough, or if a piece of that hardening plaque suddenly ruptures and causes a blood clot, it blocks the flow of oxygen entirely.
And that's the heart attack.
Right. That sudden plumbing failure is what causes a heart attack. So preventing that initial endothelial damage, protecting that Teflon, and keeping the plaque from building up is quite literally a matter of life and death.
Okay, man, that makes perfect sense. So we have almost 200,000 people watched for 33 years to see which diet stops that scab from forming in the arteries.
Exactly. That's the setup.
Obviously, given all the headlines over the last few years, low carb must have taken the gold medal here, right?
You would think so, right?
Yeah. I mean, everyone says carbs are the devil now, and that carbohydrates are what drive all that inflammation. So did low carb win this 33-year war?
So this is where the entire paradigm shifts.
Okay.
Neither diet won.
Wait, hold on. Neither.
Neither of them.
You're telling me that millions of people who have spent the last 3 decades religiously tracking their macros and like fighting with their families at Thanksgiving over bread versus butter?
Oh, the Thanksgiving arguments are legendary.
Right. And torturing themselves with complex food tracking apps?
Yeah.
You're saying they were essentially missing the point entirely.
That is exactly what the data suggests, yes.
That is wild.
It really is. The grand plot twist of this 33-year scientific epic is that hyper-focusing on any single nutrient or obsessively counting your macros, it completely misses the forest for the trees.
Okay, so what does matter then?
The researchers discovered that the overall quality of the fats and carbohydrates you eat is vastly more important for your heart health than the sheer quantity of them.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
I mean, that sounds frustratingly simple, especially after decades of being sold these extremely complicated diet books.
It does sound simple, but it's revolutionary when you actually look at the data. Dr. Zhuan Wu, who is a postdoctoral research fellow at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
Okay, Harvard. Nice.
Yeah, he's the primary author of this research, and he summarized it perfectly. He stated plainly that there is no single best macronutrient distribution for everyone.
Wow. No single best distribution. That's a huge statement.
It really is. He emphasized that nutritional counseling shouldn't just be about restricting carbs or restricting fat. It has to emphasize the quality and the sources of the foods within whatever dietary pattern you choose.
Okay, so let's make sure we are totally clear on this. I like to visualize things. Let's look at it like building a house.
Okay, I like that.
So the macronutrients, that whole ratio of carbs to fats to protein that everyone obsesses over, that's just the architectural blueprint, right? It's just the floor plan.
Right, it's the outline.
But the food itself, the actual physical items you're putting in your mouth every day, those are your building materials.
Oh, that is a brilliant way to frame it. Yes.
Really? Because it makes so much sense to me. Like, you can have a perfectly calculated floor plan. Let's call that your strict, mathematically perfect macro target.
Your 40-30-30 split or whatever.
Exactly. But if you build that house using rotting wood and crumbling bricks, the house is still going to fall down.
It's going to collapse. A low-carb blueprint built with terrible materials is a terrible house.
Right. And a low-fat blueprint built with terrible materials is also a terrible house.
Exactly. It's the materials that keep the roof over your head, not the math on the paper.
But, that brings up a huge practical problem.
What's that?
Well, if the blueprint doesn't really matter, and it's all about finding high-quality building materials, how is the average person supposed to know what good materials actually look like?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because food marketing is constantly lying to us. I mean, I walk through the store and I feel like everything is tricking me.
You've hit on the exact danger zone the researchers highlighted in the paper. They explicitly warn against this psychological trap known as the health halo.
The health halo. Oh, I've definitely fallen for this. We all have.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone has at some point.
You walk down the aisle, you see a box with like a picture of a green leaf on it and a big check mark, and your brain just automatically assumes, well, I guess this is health food now.
Exactly. The health halo occurs when we perceive a food as healthy simply because it boasts a specific, trendy claim on the packaging. And it's usually related to a macronutrient.
Like fat-free or low-carb.
Precisely. The research specifically calls out the danger of limiting your view to just macros while completely ignoring how processed the food is.
So missing the building materials for the blueprint again.
Yes. For example, just because a diet snack is slapped with a giant fat-free or low-calorie label does not make it heart healthy.
Right.
If that fat-free cookie is ultra-processed and made entirely of refined grains and added sugars, it is terrible for your arteries.
Okay, let's dig into the why there. Because for years, people thought, well, look, it has 0 grams of fat, so it logically can't add fat to my body or my arteries.
Right, the old fat makes you fat logic.
Exactly. So if I eat a fat-free, highly processed diet cookie, what is actually happening to that smooth Teflon coating in my blood vessels that we were talking about earlier?
Okay, so when you consume highly refined carbohydrates, like the white flour and the concentrated sugars in that diet cookie, your body breaks them down into glucose incredibly fast.
Because there's nothing slowing it down.
Exactly. It's already been processed for you. So
Okay.
this causes a rapid, massive spike in your blood sugar.
Okay, spike in sugar.
Then your body has to pump out a huge surge of insulin to deal with all that sugar. And this intense roller coaster of spiking sugar and insulin creates oxidative stress in the body.
So it's basically stressing out the entire system.
It's stressing the system big time. And more importantly, that oxidative stress directly damages the endothelium.
It scratches the Teflon.
Scratches the Teflon, yes. It triggers an inflammatory response that roughs up the walls of the arteries, making them sticky.
Oh, wow.
So by eating the fat-free, highly refined diet cookie, you are actively creating the very environment where circulating cholesterol can catch, stick, and begin forming that plaque we talked about.
That is wild.
It really is a completely different way of looking at it.
So by trying to avoid fat with a processed diet food, I am actually preparing my arteries to catch the plaque.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's incredible how a brightly colored box with the word diet on it can just totally trick our brains into ignoring the fact that the food inside was manufactured in a lab rather than grown in the earth.
Marketing is very powerful.
So if the health halo and these ultra-processed foods are the problem, what is the proactive solution here? What are the actual high-quality building materials the data points to?
The solution is beautifully straightforward, and honestly, it is the most consistent thread in all of nutritional science over the last century.
Drum roll, please.
Load up on plants.
Just plants.
Right.
I feel like people hear that and instantly think they have to eat a plain, boring bowl of lettuce for the rest of their lives.
Oh, not at all. The research specifically lists the heavy hitters, and it's a very diverse, delicious list.
Okay, lay it on me.
We're talking about prioritizing whole fruits, vegetables, and legumes.
Legumes. Okay, for anyone not used to cooking with legumes, what exactly are we talking about?
That means getting familiar with things like beans, peas, and lentils.
Got it. Beans and lentils.
It also means incorporating nuts, seeds, and whole grains, so things like oats, quinoa, and brown rice, into your daily routine.
Okay, so why those specific foods? Like, what is the mechanical difference between a whole grain like oats and the refined grain in the diet cookie we just talked about?
The key difference there is the fiber and the physical structure of the food.
Fiber. The magic word.
It really is magic. Whole grains, legumes, and vegetables still have their natural fiber completely intact.
Right.
When you eat them, that fiber acts like a buffer in your digestive system. It literally slows down the absorption of the sugars into your bloodstream.
So it stops the roller coaster.
Exactly. You don't get that violent blood sugar spike. You don't get the massive insulin surge.
And no oxidative stress.
Therefore, you don't get the oxidative stress and inflammation that scratches up your artery walls.
That makes total sense.
And it gets even better. Furthermore, soluble fiber actually binds to cholesterol in your digestive tract and helps drag it out of your body before it can even reach your bloodstream.
Wait, really? It drags it out.
Yes, it's acting like a scrub brush for your system.
So it's protecting the Teflon and actively removing the stuff that causes the clogs.
It's a double win for your heart.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But we do have to address the elephant in the room here.
I have a feeling I know what the elephant is.
Yeah. We've talked about carbs and whole grains, but what does this 33-year study say about the most highly debated nutrient in the history of heart health?
Dietary fat.
Dietary fat. Because if we zoom in on the butter versus olive oil debate, people are still incredibly confused. We know quality matters now, but what does a high-quality fat actually look like?
The research provides a very clear, unambiguous directive on this.
Okay.
When you are choosing your fats, you need to choose unsaturated fats over saturated fats. That is the great fat swap.
The great fat swap. Okay, let's define those categories so you, the listener, know exactly what to look for when you're in the kitchen. What are we putting in the saturated bucket?
So saturated fats are primarily found in animal products.
Like meat and dairy.
Exactly. Think of fatty cuts of beef or pork, full-fat dairy products like cheese and whole milk, and of course, butter.
Okay, the delicious stuff.
Unfortunately, yes. But they are also found in certain tropical oils, most notably coconut oil and palm oil.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought up coconut oil because we have to talk about that.
It's a hot topic.
It is. Coconut oil had this massive health halo moment a few years ago. I mean, people were writing books about it, putting it in their smoothies, frying literally everything in it, claiming it was this ultimate superfood.
Oh, I remember. It was inescapable.
Are you saying the data shows that was a mistake for heart health?
From a strict cardiovascular perspective,
Yep.
looking at this massive 33-year data set,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
Saturated fats, whether they come from a cow or a coconut, need to be traded out for healthier, unsaturated options.
Okay, so what are the unsaturated options we should be using instead?
That means cooking with olive oil or avocado oil instead of butter or coconut oil.
Olive oil, avocado oil. Got it.
It also means getting your dietary fats naturally from eating things like whole avocados, almonds, walnuts, and seeds, or eating fatty fish like salmon, which is just incredibly rich in unsaturated omega-3s.
Okay, let's connect that specific daily habit like reaching for the olive oil bottle instead of the stick of butter.
Yeah.
Back to our plumbing analogy.
Sure.
If both of them are fats, right?
Yep.
And they both contain roughly the exact same amount of calories, why does swapping the type of fat matter to the pipes? What is the underlying mechanism there?
It really comes down to how those specific fat molecules communicate with your liver.
Your liver.
Yes, particularly concerning your cholesterol levels. Saturated fats have a very specific effect on the body. They actually decrease the activity of LDL receptors in your liver.
Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
LDL receptors.
Let me break it down. Think of your liver as the body's blood filtration plant.
Okay, filtration plant. It has these receptors that act like little grabbers, basically pulling the bad LDL cholesterol out of your bloodstream so your body can dispose of it.
Oh, I see. They clean the blood.
Exactly. But saturated fat basically tells those grabbers to go on strike.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because the liver stops pulling the LDL out of the blood, the concentration of LDL in your bloodstream starts to rise.
And as we established earlier, more LDL floating around means more opportunity for it to get caught on the artery walls.
Right, catching on those little scratches and turning into hardened plaque.
Wow. Okay, so eating saturated fat isn't just dumping grease into the pipe. It's actively shutting down the body's natural cleaning crew.
Exactly, you're firing the janitors. Conversely, unsaturated fats, like the kind in olive oil and walnuts, they actually help upregulate those liver receptors.
So they hire more janitors.
They put the cleaning crew into overdrive. They help to actively sweep that LDL cholesterol out of your bloodstream.
That is so...
By making that simple swap, you are actively helping to maintain healthier cholesterol levels, and you're reducing the amount of sludge that can turn into arterial plaque. You're keeping the highways clear.
That is fascinating. It's not about eradicating fat entirely, which is what we basically tried to do in the 90s, and it failed miserably.
Spectacularly.
Right. It's about upgrading the type of fat so the internal machinery runs the way it was originally designed to.
Exactly.
And taking all these high-level scientific findings and translating them into, like, Monday morning reality is what makes this research so powerful.
It really brings it down to earth.
It does. And it brings us to the ultimate takeaway for you, the listener, which is something we rarely ever hear in the nutrition space: the freedom of choice.
It really is a profound message of freedom, isn't it?
Absolutely. Because for decades, we've been told there is only one mathematically perfect way to eat.
The one true diet.
Right. And if you fail at the low-fat diet, or if you fail at the keto diet, the industry basically tells you it's a lack of your own willpower.
Which is so damaging.
It's terribly damaging. But this 33-year study says loud and clear, find a sustainable pattern that works for you. Because there is no universal best macronutrient distribution, you have the permission to choose an approach you actually enjoy.
That's the beauty of focusing on food quality rather than rigid macro counting.
Exactly.
I mean, if you are someone who genuinely loves avocados, olive oil, and nuts, and you prefer to eat slightly fewer carbohydrates because that just makes you feel energized, great,
Go for it.
do that. But do it with high-quality, plant-rich foods. On the other hand, if you love lentils, whole grain oats, and fruit, and you naturally tend to eat a bit less fat, that's great too.
Right, as long as the materials are good.
As long as the quality of the building materials is high, you can pick the architectural blueprint that you can actually stick to for the next 30 years.
But, I imagine that freedom can also feel a little bit overwhelming for some people.
Oh, for sure. It's a big shift.
Yeah, if you've spent the last 20 years relying on a phone app to tell you exactly how many grams of carbs you're allowed to eat today, suddenly being told, hey, just eat high-quality food, might leave you staring blankly at your refrigerator.
That's a very real challenge. While this freedom is empowering, designing your own dietary blueprint from scratch isn't always easy.
No, it's not.
That's why the practical caveat here is that for truly personalized recommendations, consulting a registered dietitian is always your best move.
A professional.
Right. A dietitian doesn't just hand you a generic meal plan printed off the internet. They look at your specific metabolic needs, your medical history, your daily schedule, and your personal taste preferences.
Which are super important if you're going to stick to it.
Exactly. They help tailor a plan that maximizes nutritional quality while fitting seamlessly into your real, messy, everyday life.
It's kind of like hiring a master builder to help you pick the best possible materials for your specific plot of land, rather than just like buying a generic house kit online.
Precisely. They help you operationalize the science. They translate quality over quantity into a sustainable daily habit, rather than just another temporary diet phase you'll abandon in 3 weeks.
I love that. So to bring all this together and summarize the incredible amount of data we've walked through today.
And it was a lot of data.
It was a ton.
Huh.
But we have moved from the paralyzing anxiety of macro counting, the endless, exhausting seesaw of are carbs evil or is fat evil, to a truly empowering science-backed reality.
We really have.
Nearly 200,000 people, monitored over 33 years, have shown us that high-quality, real food is the ultimate defense against coronary heart disease.
It's the ultimate shield.
You do not have to fear a macronutrient.
Yep.
You just have to respect the quality of your food, avoid those heavily processed health halo traps we talked about, and make smart swaps like olive oil instead of butter.
It represents a fundamental shift in how we approach nutrition. It's a shift from a mindset of restriction and punishment to a mindset of nourishment.
Mindset of nourishment. I like that.
Yeah, it changes the entire psychological framework of how we sit down to eat.
It changes everything. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a lingering thought to chew on today.
No pun. Nice.
Couldn't resist. But seriously, if 33 years of massive, rigorous scientific data proves that there is absolutely no universal, perfect ratio of carbs to fats, consider how much time, how much stress, and how much money we have spent as a society arguing over one-size-fits-all diet rules.
It's actually kind of sad to think about.
It really is. Think about the billions of dollars spent on diet books, specialized diet snacks, and premium tracking apps. What if the most revolutionary thing you could do for your heart isn't starving it of a specific nutrient, but simply trusting your body with real whole foods? Until next time, keep asking the hard questions.